Alright, hello guys. I know it's been a hot second since I posted another video. But I've been working on a lot of different things for you guys. I've been studying some ley lines because they have a lot of resemblance to places that we have actually investigated. So this video, I just want to kind of talk about ley lines, what they are, what they're used for, what the conspiracy and the legend is behind ley lines throughout the US and then the world. So, play the intro. Alright, so ley lines. What I pretty much want to get out there to help people understand about ley lines is that ley lines have a lot of conspiracy behind them, and they just recently became a lot more popular in the paranormal field. The truth is, they've been around for ages when people first found an interest in things paranormal, even in the 17th century and before, around London and Britain and all those things. They had people back then that was studying ley lines and what they had to do with anything. So I first want to start off with talking about ley lines. Where did their origins come from? Well, they came from way back in the day. I want to say it was like the 1600s. Could have been before. Don't quote me on it. I'm not exactly sure, but pretty much when people would experience supernatural events that they could not explain no matter what, some old researchers that made like maps and all that stuff of the cities started recognizing that things happen on some of these longitude-latitude lines, you know, where they cross at and everything, leading up to having like super bad events or mass murders or anything all happen within that area of where these longitude-latitude lines are. And one guy looked at it and said, well, that's interesting. And what he ended up doing is he started calculating and putting together where all these big events happen, and they were anywhere from murders to like natural disasters, and realized that almost all of them have a middle point, and the middle is somewhere, if you can see that. But pretty much, there'd be events that happen here, but there'd be events that happen here. So what he did is he found out where both those meet, and found it extremely odd but satisfying for his study at the time that in that area there was high traces of electromagnetic fields. They were causing people to experience things, have hallucinations, all this stuff. And it's really cool because if you think about it, the Earth is its own energy. It produces its own mass of energy and helps, you know, things happen, so to speak. And at these longitude-latitude lines, they always seem to fall in fault of like really big disasters or tectonic plate movement and things like that. Just big events that happen through the world. Therefore, they came up with a theory that these lines that go through, that we use as longitude and latitude, all have their own energy frequency among them, and they started researching more and more into it so that they could try to find more answers and everything on it. And they did this for many years to come, but it also became more popular with like Ghostbusters. I don't know if you've seen the original or the new one, but Ghostbusters, they gave this idea per se, or this theory on paper and everything. They started lining up all these big events that were happening where they're catching all these different ectoplasmas, if I can talk today, I'm a little tired and just trying to get some things taken care of. Yeah. And they used it as a big part. I believe it was the new Ghostbusters. You know, they caught ectoplasm here, here, and they end up being able to match it in the middle, and that's where the crazy scientist guy was conducting all these experiments with everything and had a huge, massive electromagnetic core that he was using to feed all these other areas. And that was probably the first thing that people saw when it came to the latitude, longitude lines, or the ley lines. But they've been around even before that. I mean, you hear of all these like crossroads to meet the devil, or, you know, see demons or whatnot, where just roads come crossing together, and they're usually out in the middle of nowhere. And this relates to quite a few things, but I don't want to get too much off subject before my next explanation on things. And another thing that ley lines play a big part in, that I want to give an example from that's not movie-wise, is like the Bermuda Triangle. They claim where all those match up as well. Of course, they've centered it to the triangle itself. It causes tons and tons of issues, and things disappear. And a lot of people say there's a strong electromagnetic field in that triangle, which causes the airplane's systems to mess up, have issues, and that's what caused planes to crash into the ocean, boats not to be able to reach out on radio frequencies, and there's just a lot going on there. And now I just want to kind of get into about how this relates to paranormal locations. There's a location that's about 35 to 40 minutes away that I'm working on to bring you guys a video of that. And what it is it's a crossroad of like 4 plots that all come together, which, you know, judging by this theory, would cause tons of activity to happen here, and possibly demonic forces or whatnot. And I really want to check it out to find out. Whispers Estate in Mitchell. It's also on a really strong ley line that causes things to happen, and it's also claimed that there's a portal in the house that allows it to open up for the spirits to come through and pretty much be able to just trying and causes them to be able to communicate with us. Another example I want to give is Ashmore Estates over in Illinois. They laid on a ley line as well. They had a lot of activity happening. Some people claim demonic, and they also say there's a portal around that building as well. As you guys can see, there's quite the distinction and a lot of stories that go with ley lines. Another one I'd like to give an example of is like 100 Step Cemetery. Is also on a ley line between tons of tragedies and things that happen, and that's why I personally think that's why it's so haunted, possibly a ley line theory. But along with the ley line theory, there also comes the tape theory. The tape theory is more of a object. Every object holds on to part of your life force or your energy. Therefore, if you walk in the same area, same place, you know, for so many years at a time or whatnot, that's possible that residential EVPs will be caught in that location that will cause you to hear footsteps or, you know, knocks on wood or whatever. And this goes with the stone tape theory, which is objects, roads, walls, everything just ends up holding all the energy, and at some point it just releases it. And when it releases it, it's usually whatever event that it's held on to the most. Another example of this would be, I believe it's up in Gary, Indiana, but there's a road up there that apparently had tons of people hanged on it or whatnot, and it's abandoned now. And it's said, a lot of people say that this is where the ghost cars come from, because the ghost cars, you know, travel on this so much, the road holds its energy, and it releases it at random times, therefore portraying a car on the road, causing people to wreck or freak out or whatnot. And it's interesting that both those kind of go hand in hand, along with like these ley lines holding tons of energy from big events or just a really strong electromagnetic area. And I want to look further into all these things, and find locations that probably are on really strong ley lines, and that we can finally put the rest, like if it's fact or fake or whatever it is. And I just want to be a part of that, try to help grow the paranormal community with the theory of ley lines, and just work with paranormal theories on everything on these next investigations, because I want to hit more of these locations on these ley lines to help with the research on the subject of the theory. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of update you guys with what I've been trying to research. It's been hectic. I've been trying to look for areas all over the place around that could possibly have big events that happen at it. And some of the places I looked into have been torn down now. I can't get into. Maybe the property's still haunted and all those things. So here, within so many videos, I will be bringing you guys evidence and investigations from these locations, so that we can all together kind of experience if the theory is true or not. But I think that's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to try to keep these videos posted, because I do feel sorry for not getting you guys one last week. But yeah, other than that, everyone, until the next video, stay on the rise, and I'll see you guys next week.